Okay, today's topic, continuing on from last day, is looking at word problems in Algebra Part 2. And this is where we're taking algebra language, translating it into an equation, and then we can do the algebra on it to figure out what the answer is. So let's just take a little trip down memory lane and remember what algebra language is all about. So if you had something like this, 15 times a number, hopefully most of you remember what this would look like in terms of algebra. It's just saying 15 times a number. There's no equal sign stated here, so it's just an expression. 15 times a number, you could show that as 15. Now you could show the lame multiplying sign if you wanted to, but come on, we don't need to do that, do we? 15 times a number. Times meaning we can just put nothing next to it, and an a number or some number, pick any letter you like. A, X, G, Q, clouds, apples, whatever, shoe, anything you like. We'll just use n to represent the a number. 15 times some number. 15 times a number. Done. You knew that before. I'll just review. How about this? What is 15 times 7? Now I don't want the answer right away. I want you to translate this into algebra language. Well, the is part means an equal sign. What is equal to 15 times 7 is what that means. Now we don't know what it is, so that's like our unknown or some number statement that we've had before. So to translate this, here's what you would do. What is, well, it's some number, so we can just call it x. The is means equals, and then the 15 times 7 is just 15 times 7, or the hip way to do it is with brackets. And then x is 15 times 7. What is 15 times 7? Trust me, it's 105. That's all you do. So the new thing here is the equal sign. The word for equal sign is or equal to, things like that. Okay, let's take a look at this. The number of shoes in my closet plus 8 is 11. The number of shoes in my closet plus 8 is 11. Okay, let's translate this. The number of shoes in my closet. You don't know how many shoes I have in my closet. At least I hope not. Plus 8 is 11. How would you write that in algebra language? Okay, so we don't know how many shoes are in my closet. Actually, I don't really even know myself. So what should we use in place of the number of shoes in my closet? It's some unknown thing. It's some number we don't know. You could call it x, but since we're talking about shoes, let's just call it s. The number of shoes in my closet, let's just call s. Plus 8. Plus 8 is 11. Is means equal sign 11. Now you can see why s isn't normally used as a good unknown letter, because it kind of looks like a 5. But let's just now show that that's a s for shoes. Okay, so now we have our equation. I want to know how many shoes I actually have. Well, at this point, we can use algebra. S plus 8 equals 11. We want to get the letter by itself. What's bugging the letter? The plus 8. How do we get rid of plus 8? Minus 8. Do the same to the other side. These 8's go bye-bye. You're left with the shoes are equal to 3. So it's handy to actually say then as a sentence, just so you know what's going on. There are 3 shoes in my closet. Enough said. Moving on to the next thing. Add 20 to John's age and you get 32. Let me just erase this up here because it's getting in the way. Anyways, you add 20 to John's age and you get 32. How old is John? Okay. add 20 to John's age. What does that mean? So we're going to add 20, so 20 plus John's age. Do we know what John's age is? No. So what can we say in place of that? It's some number that we don't know what it is. It's some unknown number. John's age, let's call it J. So 20 plus John's age, call it a J. Let's call it a capital J, why not? And you get, what do you think? What math thing are they talking about when they say and you get? That sounds like an equal sign. So equal signs has a lot of different translations. Is equal to some phrase that basically means the answer is. And you get 32. So there's our equation. And now, hang on. Why is this not going away? And now, we can solve for J using algebra. Now I know a lot of you can do this in your head, and you're thinking, why do we have to do all this stuff? Trust me, you're going to have to do it this way for the trickier ones. Anyways, we want to figure out what is J? What is John's age? We want to do this. We want to get the J by itself. Let's get rid of the 20. Subtract 20 from this side, subtract 20 from that side. The 20s go away. We're left with J, which is John's age. 32 minus 20 is 12. So there's our answer. A nice little sentence at the end. John's age is 12, or John is 12 years old. Alright, next up. 10 less than a number is 18. What is the number? 10 less than a number is 18. Okay, 10 less than a number. In this case, you have a number, 10. In this case here, what you wanna say is that the number had it first, and we're taking 10 off of it. So you have the number, which we can call x, and we take 10 off of it, 10 less than that. That's how you write it. It's not 10 minus x, 10 less than a number. So when the number had it, 10 less. Is 18. What do you think is means? Equals 18. What's the number? Let's do the algebra. There's the x. It's being subtracted by 10. So let's add 10 to this side. The numbers are gone. X equals 28. So the number is 28. Done. Okay. How about this? Tom's age divided by 7 is 11. Tom's age divided by 7 is 11. How old is Tom? Okay, do we know what Tom's age is? No. So it's some mysterious number. Let's call it T. Capital T for Tom. Divided by 7. Please don't do the dorky little divided by sign like that. Get over it, kids. No one does that anymore. Divided by 7 meaning like this. Divided by 7. Is 11 equals 11. How old is Tom? Well, there's Tom's age right there. T for Tom, because we don't know what it is. It's being divided by 7. To get rid of that 7, we do the opposite, which is multiply by 7. Do the same to the other side. These 7s go cancelled out. You're left with just T for Tom. 11 times 7 is 77. So there's our answer. Tom is 77 years old. Moving along, number 7. A number multiplied by -5 is 35. What's the number? Okay, so a number. We don't know what it is. Any random number. Call it whatever you want. Let's call it x. Let's be really creative and use the letter x. That number is multiplied by -5. Now you could do this x multiplied by negative 5. That's the way it's written in the sentence that way, with the number first and negative 5. But you know what most of you are going to do. You know right now it's x times negative 5, but you're going to treat this as x minus 5. So don't write it like this. A number times negative 5. Remember when we talked about this before, put the number in front when you're multiplying. Negative 5, the number, which is x. I was going to write n. So a number multiplied by negative 5, that's this. Negative 5 times x. Remember, multiplying doesn't matter the order you do it in. Is 35 equals 35. What's the number? Well, what's being done to the x? It's being multiplied by negative 5. The opposite of multiplying by negative 5 is dividing by negative 5. Same to the other side. The negative 5s go bye-bye. You're left with x equals that divided by that. Signs are different. Negative 7. The number is negative 7. Moving along. When I multiply 7 and a number and add 13, I get 90. What's the number? So I know before you were thinking I can do this in my head, no problem. Here you're going to have to write out the statement. I think it's getting trickier. Multiply 7 and a number. When I multiply 7 and a number, so that means 7 times some number, let's call it n for number. You can call it anything you like. And I add 13. Add 13. I get, what do you think that means? That's the equal sign. I get 90. That's the translation of that. Well, what's the number? It's just algebra now. We set up the equation. Let's just do our algebra. This is a two-step question. Two things bugging the n. With reverse bedmass. Let's get rid of the 13 first. Subtract 13. Subtract 13. This goes away. You're left with 7n equals 77. 7 is multiplying the n. To get rid of it, we divide. Same to the other side. 7's are gone. N equals 11. So the number is 11. How about this? 50 less than 3 times a number is negative 2. 50 less than 3 times a number. We saw before, whenever it says 50 less, do not go 50 minus 3 times a number. That's not what we're talking about. 50 less than. So this thing had it first. So you write that 3 times a number. Well, let's go 3 times, pick any letter you like. Oh, I'm going to pick G this time for the number. 3 times G less 50. So 3 times a number less than 50 is negative 2. Is equal sign negative 2. What's the number? Let's figure it out using algebra. The 3 is timesing it, the 50 is subtracting it, reverse bedmass. Remember reverse bedmass was Sam dead. We do this adding, subtracting first, then the multiplying, dividing, if you forgot what I was talking about. We get rid of this negative 50 by adding 50. Do the same to the other side. The 50s are gone. You're left with just 3g. And this gives you 48. 3 times the g, divide by 3. Divide by 3, cancel out. G is equal to 16. The number is 16. Okay. This one's a good one. If you multiply Alex's age by 3 and subtract 14, you get the same number by adding 20 to his age. How old is Alec? Okay, this is a lot of stuff happening here. If you multiply Alex's age by 3, we don't know what Alex's age is. Let's call it A for Alec. Multiply it by 3. I know some of you are going to go, okay, A3. Ew, that's gross looking. Don't do it like that. Alex's age multiplied by 3. 3a. That looks cool. Even though actually capital letters in algebra don't look cool at all. It's supposed to be lowercase, but whatever. Multiply Alex's age by 3 and subtract 14. Subtract 14. Then it says, you get the same number. You get the same. What does that mean? You get the same number. The same, meaning it's equal to. That is equal to the same number by adding 20 to his age. So we don't know what his age is. A for Alec. We add 20 to it. That's the equation. Now, let's figure out how old Alec is using algebra skills. Here we have a variable on this side, a variable on that side. We want to get rid of one of the variables. Remember, I always say pick on the small one. There's 3 A's, there's 1 A. Get rid of the A. Get rid of the A completely. We're left here with 2A minus 14 equals 20. Okay, what do you do here? Multiplying, subtracting. We do the reverse BEDMAS. Subtracting first. Let's add 14 to this side. Do the same to the other side. The 14 goes away. You're left with just 2A. And 20 plus 14 is 34. Now it's 2 times A. We want to get rid of it. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. The 2's cancel out. Alec, or A, is 17. So Alec is 17 years old. So just a matter of translating, reading it, translating it, and doing your algebra. Okay, now these are some juicy questions. Triangles have 180 degrees in them, and we'll learn this a little later on, like a typical triangle. If you add up all the angles in the triangle, that one angle, that angle, that angle, it should all add to 180 degrees. That's what it's saying. Okay, now listen carefully. If one angle is twice the smallest angle, so one of the angles, let's say this one here, we don't know, is 2 times, twice means 2 times, the smallest angle. And the third angle is 40 more than the smallest angle. Find all 3 angles. Okay, so what do we know about the smallest angle? Well, one thing we know is that one of them is twice the smallest angle. So this one here, let's just pretend, it could be any one, we don't know which one. It's 2 times the smallest angle. Let's call it S for small. The third angle is 40 more than the smallest angle. Pick any angle you want on here. Let's pick this one to be the third one. This is 40 more than what? The smallest angle, which is called S. And what's the leftover angle? Well, that must be called the smallest angle, which is S. So what we're saying is this and this and this is equal to 180 degrees. That's what the question told us at the start. So let's do this. 2S plus this angle here, 40 plus S, and this, the smallest angle, which we just know is S. All those angles together add to 180. Find all 3 angles. So now we have an algebra question like this. What do? Well, it's circles and squares on this side. We can reduce on this side, circles and squares. We got S's, we'll put circles around the S's. 2S plus 1S plus 1S is 4S. Plus 40 equals 180. Reverse BEDMAS here. Let's not worry about the multiplying 4. Let's get rid of the adding 40 by subtracting 40. Subtracting 40. Those are gone. You're left with 4S equals 140. S is being multiplied by 4. Let's get rid of it by dividing. Dividing, same to the other side. S equals 140 divided by 4 is 35 degrees. So, what have we figured out? Well, this tells us that the smallest angle, because S was the smallest angle is 35 degrees. The question says, find all three angles. So this one we know for sure is 35 degrees. How do we figure out this angle here? Well, we know this angle is 40 more than the smallest angle. Well, what is the smallest angle? 35. So to figure out this one, we just go 40 plus 35. It's like substitution from before. And that's 75 degrees. So that angle is 75 degrees. Now, two ways you can get the last answer. You could just add these two up and subtract from 180, or we know the smallest angle is 35. Well, this is just 2 times that, so 2 times S, which is 35, which is 70. So there's all our three angles. According to this top angle is 70 degrees, this angle is 75, and this angle is 35. And if you want to double check, which you can always do, let's add them up. Do they all equal 180? Well, 70 plus 75 is 145. 145 plus 35 is 180. It works out nicely. Okay. Perimeter is the distance around a shape. So if I have a rectangle, perimeter means the distance around. You add up the distance all around the shape. That's the perimeter. We're told that the perimeter of a rectangular pool is 130 meters. We're then told, so the whole distance around is 130. The length of the pool is 4 times the width. So the length is 4 times the width. Find the length and width of the pool. So all we know is that this side, which is the same as this side because it's a rectangle, is 4 times the width. Do we know what the width is? No, we don't. So these sides, the widths, let's just call it W for width because we don't know what it is. And what do we know about this, the length? Well, we know it's 4 times the width. The length is 4 times the width. Let's call this length side 4W. It's 4 times that, and that's 4W. Remember, perimeter is the distance around a rectangle. So how are we going to figure this out? This side plus this side plus this side plus this side is the perimeter, and we are told in the question the perimeter is 130 meters. So here's how we set it up. This plus this plus this plus this equals 130. 4W plus W plus 4W plus W, adding up all the sides, equals 130. What's W? Well, these are all W's on this side. I don't have to put circles and squares around it. 4 plus 1 is 5. That's 10. 10W equals 130. Well, what's W? Divide by 10. Divide by 10. 10's cancel out. W is 13. We just figured out the width. The width of this rectangle is 13. So the width is 13. What's the length? Well, the length is shown by this side, which is 4W. So if the length is 4W, well, we know that W is 13. Let's just sub in 13 in for that. 4 times 13 is 52. And so your length, which we were told was 4W, is 52 meters. So the length is 52 meters and the width is 13. All figured out using algebra. Okay, if the sum of two consecutive numbers is 159, find the numbers. Okay, consecutive numbers. Consecutive means one after another. Sum means adding. That's an A, not a triple D there. Okay, sum means adding. Consecutive numbers means one after another. So two of them, two numbers, one after another, like 14, 15, 19, 20, 108, 109. That's what we mean by consecutive numbers. Is 159. What are those numbers? Okay, so we don't know what one of the numbers is. Let's call it X. What do you think the other consecutive number, what is the number right after X going to be called? Well, whatever it is, it's going to be that number, X, plus 1. So these two numbers, the sum of these two numbers, X and X plus 1, that's what consecutive number means, one number with another number after it, is 159. So how do we set this up? The sum of those two, so we add these two things together, equals, is means equals, 159. Okay, X plus X is 2X, plus 1 is 159. Subtract 1, you get 2X, the ones are gone, 158. 2 divided by 2 on this side, and 158 divided by 2 is 79. Use a calculator if you need to. That's what one of the numbers is. So the first number is 79. So X is the first number, it's 79. What's the second number? The second number was X plus 1. So X plus 1, sub 79 into here, 79 plus 1, that's 80. So the two consecutive numbers are 79 and 80. So the numbers are 79 and 80. Double check. Do those two numbers add to equal 159? Yes, they do. Trust me, use a calculator. They equal 159. Okay. Percent problems. Before we had this little dorky rule with percent problems, I would say if the percent is given, you multiply. If it's not given, you divide. Well, that only works some of the time. Now we can use algebra to figure this out. What is? What is 25% of 50? So what is, that means what we don't know. Let's call it X. Is equal sign, 25%. You can write this two different ways. You can write it as 25 over 100, or write this as a decimal. 25%, if you remember, is, move it 2 spots to the left, 0.25. Of means multiply. So 0.25 times, let's do the bracket way, 50. So what is 25% of means multiply 50 times these two together. X equals that times that, which is 12.5. Use a calculator if you don't believe me. So the number is 12.5. How about this? 30% of what number is 12? So the is over here. 30% of, which means multiply what number? 30%, remember we convert all percents to decimals, 0.30. Of means multiply. What number? What number means we don't know. Let's call it X. Is 12. So now we have this. 0.3 times X equals 12. What is the X? Well, the X, unlike up here, the X is already by itself. We just had to do the math and figure it out. Here the X is not by itself. It's being bugged by this 0.30, which is multiplying it. The opposite is dividing it by 0.30. Do the same to the other side. Don't freak out because they're decimals. They're numbers too. 3 O's go away. X equals 12 divided by 0.30, which I all of a sudden can't do in my head right now. Let's do it in a calculator. 12 divided by 0.30 is 40. So 40 is the number. Now you see, if we did this the old-fashioned way, the goofy trick before, where if I said percent was given, you'd multiply, you would get the wrong answer. This way, here we're dividing, and so this is the case where it did not work for me before, for that little simple rule where whenever a percent is given, you multiply, and whenever percent is not given, you divide. That rule did not work here, so that's why we need to do this algebra stuff for questions like that. Okay, 12 is what percent of 60? 12 is what percent? 12 is equals what percent? We don't know the percent. Let's call that x of 60. So x times 60. You can do this if you want, but that looks weird. Let's write it like this. Remember, when you're multiplying, the number should go first. 12 equals what percent, that's the unknown part, of 60. Let's get the x by itself, divide by 60. Divide by 60. The 60s are gone, you're left with x. 12 divided by 60 is 12 divided by 60 is 0.2. So before you go racing and saying I got the answer 0.2, that's a decimal. I want to know the percent. We convert this decimal to a percent by moving it 2 spots the other way, or times by 100, and it's 20. 20 is the percent. Okay, good stuff. You are now ready for these skill testing questions. Here. Mary's mass decreased by 14 pounds is 109. What's her mass? This question here, what perimeter? I would draw a diagram. It helps out when you do that. 6 times Mark's age is the same as 40 more than twice his age. How old is he? And then this one here, 88 is 70% of what number? There you are. Sorry it took so long. Talk to you later. Bye.